Yep, we're recording.
Thank you very much, sir. So I hope everyone's good today and you've at least had a chance to grab a breather and a coffee since Friday, which is always fun and games. So I've got a few bits on the agenda for this week. Reviewing last week's actions, reviewing of the outstanding PRs, an update on the charters, and then any other business. And we've not had any other suggestions in that I've seen. So in terms of action items from last week, it was on me to remove the meta section from the RFC template and clarify the numbering and clean up a bit of the language related bits. And I have done that bit.
Haley, on that point, I think I actually liked a lot of the fields that were on there. I was just confused about those Cloud Foundry community, like those two lines about the issue and PR. I think the rest of it is actually really valuable in terms of overall structure.
Although we found that it wasn't being used anywhere was the biggest thing on where we were referencing it.
Well, I mean, I think that's probably just good context to have on there anyway about like, you know, what state is this in? I mean, I think most of those other fields are just good in terms of, you know, good bookkeeping and having a reasonable trail of state and activity on that.
It was the additional pull requests and issues that weren't used in, like, for example, Paketo. Like they were all left blank as the initial value is in that. But like status, author, start date, that all makes sense. I'm not very sure about the RFC pull request link because that's going to be self-referential, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the thing you're currently reading. But maybe that's like after the facts. That might still be interesting to get back to the discussion that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right, Jan, because that discussion would still be there even if the branch and everything else is cleaned up.
Okay. So, all right, I can certainly add in the name, start date, also the status. And do we think the RFC pull request is worth having and filling in? So once you've created your pull request, fill it in at that point, be it if you've created it as a work in progress or a ready to review. Okay, cool. I can drop that back in. That's no problem at all. So that's no problem. And that neatly ticks off another one of the things to do as well, which is quite handy. Okay, so I've just pulled the wrong document. There we are. That's the too many tabs open. Far too many tabs. Okay, so then there was a TOC to renew the initial GitHub org management automation, which I will paste in the chat. And here, which I had a chance to have a look at today, and yep, I think that's absolutely fine to start progressing with. Has anyone else had a chance to have a look through? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, not in detail. So what would this start automating in the GitHub org at this point? Like if we add all of this, what would it actually do right now?
Ruben?
I think he's frozen.
I think his connection's dropped or he's plague statues.
I mean, you can, if you're reading it declaratively, right? Every 30 minutes, it's going to run a thing which attempts to add and remove members of the organization and teams to match a file.
Yeah.
And the fix to me implies that it's going to actually remove people that don't belong as well.
Right. That's what I would guess too.
I made a dump, right? So there shouldn't be a big diff. But yeah, that's the idea, that it will delete people that, like, it will also work for offboarding. This will be the single source of truth.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, this org/cloudfoundry.yaml file would become the source of truth for the organization and its members and the teams and those members.
Yes.
Okay.
And repos, if I see it correctly, or some repo metadata, right? Like has projects and like, is that something? Or is that?
Oh yeah,
am I
Ruben, would
under
it
the
sync
wrong
that
key?
information too?
There's at least like the Cloud Foundry YAML file, that large YAML file has information, like it has the top level key repos, and the info also reads like metadata for repos, like has issues, has projects, a description, if it's archived or not. This reads like metadata of, like, wondering if it would delete repositories if you take them off the list. So it might be dangerous. That's at least something to check.
Yes.
Presumably there's a dry run mode we could
Yeah, I
run
was
it in.
about to
Where,
ask.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a dry run. There's like an interactive with a confirmation. So yeah, that would be something to first do. Like this is more like conceptually, do we like this? And then, I mean, we cannot in this pull request do the rollout basically. That needs to be like a manual. Okay, maybe I don't know. We'll do that in small chunks. But I mean, I cannot comment out all of it because it will delete everything. So that's also not an option. But no, I will. That's not ideal. But yeah, currently there's no token, so that's why it's failing. So I will first, once we confirm this is what we want, then I will go to like some small changes or interactive changes and make sure that it all works, and then I'll put in the token for reals.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the right way to be going with the management of all the different elements of the GitHub org, because that way it's codified. So I think it's definitely the way that we want to go.
Yeah. Once it's set up, we can make pull requests against this file and then refactor the org basically.
Okay. Have we got anything else on this one?
Ruben, you said something about rolling it out incrementally. Did you have a thought about how that would proceed if it wasn't all at once?
Not yet. I mean, once we have proved this, I will go figure that one out. I mean, I have to check what the options are. But I don't know.
I guess that by like merging and approving this and then supplying a token, then like we'd be doing all of this at this point. So I guess that's why I was a little confused.
No, so like I will, once it's approved, I will use my own token, maybe like create a read-only token or something. I don't know, like a non, and then try running that, and then like go in smaller steps before putting in the token. Like I want to get some confidence in that the tool is gonna do the right thing, and then I'm gonna put a token in the automation. That's what I'm like meant with incremental, like just do smaller risks.
Okay, do something equivalent to that dry run operation, so we could see like, is it going to delete everything?
Yeah, yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
But it doesn't make sense to make multiple pull requests for that procedure.
Yeah.
That would be like too much.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So the next one we have is a TOC review of add missing component logging and metric repos to ARP working group, which is just there. So I requested some changes. They were put in. Eric's okayed that one. So we just need one more okay on there and we can merge it in.
I can give another, like I can't really judge a lot of that, but it doesn't look There's nothing that looks suspicious, and then I'll just.
Yep,
Yeah.
me too. I approved it.
Yeah, I've been through and checked all the registries out, so all the repos, they do all exist, and yeah, all good. Okay, cool. Let's get that one merged in then. Boom. There we go. That one's sorted. So the next one in the actions is Eric, your update to the docs proposal, which I did see some activity on.
Yeah, I had a chance to audit the other docs repos in the org and in the incubator org. So we could talk about this now, or we could talk about it with the working group updates. Any preference?
I think we may as well just go with it now. I'll just post the link in for everybody else. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so there's about a dozen or so other docs repos that aren't part of the existing working groups. 4 of them are some Bosch and CredHub ones, and then the build packs one got pulled in with the other build pack assets when we decided to add that to app runtime interfaces. So I went through the rest. There's, I think, 4 that we should now or in the near future just archive because they're obsolete or out the door. And then the remaining ones, there's a couple more for foundational infrastructure. And then they're roughly evenly split across the app runtime groups. So I think there's some judgment calls here in terms of, if we have to pick between app runtime platform and app runtime interfaces for the working groups that exist right now, which one should they go in? So if there were ones that were more clearly developer facing or discussing concepts or other things that generally tended to be in the API or cloud controller realm, then those seemed like they should go into interfaces. And some of the other ones were more operational or talking about even the specifics of some of the systems in app runtime platform. So it seemed like they could go there. If we had the deployments working group, maybe you could make the case that the overall book that compiles everything should go into that one. Or, if that's the only thing that would go there, really don't bother consolidating it and just keep them all with the platform components that operators would be focusing on. Anyway, I think at this point, we at least need some buy-in from the leads of the corresponding working groups, because this would be additional scope that they'd have to take on.
Nah.
Thumbs down, Ruben. Rejected. UAA docs, that's too much.
I heard more scope, and I was like, yeah.
UAA docs that may not be reachable from anywhere in the doc site at this point is unclear.
Okay. I will be having contact with the UAA folks this week to start also getting into the process. We haven't looked at any of their issues yet, so that's kind of.
Sure. I think that docs repo, it might actually be stale. I mean, maybe we keep it around so that we don't break existing URLs. But in my navigating around the docs.cloudfoundry.org site, I couldn't get to those pages from anywhere else. Maybe there's a secret link or warp tunnel or something that takes you to them.
Warp tunnels. Nice. No, I mean, it makes sense. At least for Bosch, we also have the docs in the repo or in the working group. So it makes sense to have that for UAA as well. Since there's no dedicated docs team. So
yeah. So I think you've done the right thing by tagging in the people that are going to have to take the responsibility on this one. So we'll see what happens with that one and let it progress.
Yeah, we'll see if we get any async responses. I'll try nudging people on that. And then there's also the working group forums. So I'd be happy to drop into those pretty soon to make the case for this, or at least to discuss it.
Okay, cool. So I think we can tick that one off. And the last action was for the TOC to provide quotes for the byline article. Yeah, I managed that one. Did anyone not manage that one?
I didn't manage that one. Ram actually wanted to look at the discussion we had and provide them from there. I didn't manage to do that last week, but I think it didn't happen.
It's probably fine if we don't have quotes from every single TNC member, I think, in that article. So I wouldn't, if we I think we've got 3+, so I think that should be fine.
Yeah, Stephan's got your back, yeah.
So I added a quote, but I don't know if that's how you wanted it. I'm not so good in writing.
I'm sure it's fine. We'll take a look. We got that quote from Craig McLucky, which is important, and then a few TOC quotes, and that should be plenty sufficient. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, I put mine in too.
Okay, cool. So on to reviewing the open PRs. We can skip the first one as the RFC PR because that one's been discussed. I'll make the change to that one, so no problems there. So the next one to have a look at is adding more Diego repos to the runtime working group, which Stephan, you've poked, and there's been nothing more.
I have done nothing. No, and nobody else has done something.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to give Jeff a little bit more of a nudge.
Yeah, I will. Ask on the PR. I can do it directly.
Okay. Cool. So then the next one is moving volumedriver from runtime to services. Okay, which there's been a couple of approvals on that and a comment from David. You're on mute.
Comment, huh? I don't remember making a comment, but I'm opening it up. It does sound like. Oh yeah. Sorry, I think we should delay this until Marcel is back. I know it's like a bunch of folks in the UK have some use it or lose it vacation time. So like they're just gone the month of December because like it just expires. So they're entitled to it. Seems fair. I don't think this is urgent, but yes, we do need to decide. I was nervous that there were some boundaries in mind that Marcella had kind of carefully traded off, and then if Amelia's like, also take all this extra stuff, which is totally fine, I would like her to be Marcella to be able to respond rather than just get it while she's gone.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Like one more general remark, I'd say this definitely needs approval from the runtime working group leads and the services working group leads before we do anything, and maybe even the leads approving this would be enough for me to just blindly approve it. If both working groups agree and I don't see a big reason why I think this is a bad move, then I just say, yeah, working group leads, that's what you do, right?
Exactly. But one of them's out for like a whole month. So yeah. I think we just wait till January.
Okay, cool.
I assume Amelia is okay with it as the platform group lead.
Yeah,
given that
Amelia's asking for it, right? She's trying to get rid of the scope.
Okay, so then the next one is request for to add Diego Gardner networking groups in here, which is Mark, which I'll just post this one. So Mark is requesting to be added to these. So I think this is one that really comes down to the working group lead to resolve on this one. So I think the appropriate thing to do here is to actually tag them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll take that as an action to do in that case. So I will just make a quick note of that. Cool. And then the last one we've got is 182 as a proposal doc to add GoCF API POC repos.
Yep, was created by me, and we have now open sourced this POC, but I would leave it like it is because I wanted first to discuss it with Greg, and I haven't yet posted something into the Slack channel of the working group just because of timing, but that's a right way to start. So all fine.
Okay, cool, perfect. We can skip over the stub template.
Stephan, would it make sense to convert it to draft so we know to ignore it for the time being?
Yep, I can do it.
Okay. So we can skip over the stub template because we've already covered that one off. So then for any other business, there's updates on the Log4Shell vulnerability.
I think we're trying to keep the general channel up to date with public information there. I mean, it was quite serious. And releases were cut for UA over the weekend that did mitigate that.
Yeah.
Basically, the summary version is that like UA is critically vulnerable. Java and PHP build packs are much less likely to be vulnerable, but like they contain the vulnerable jars in certain circumstances. And some of those, if you're using the online build packs, it's just pulling latest dependencies down anyway. So as soon as those vendors patch their agents, then they stop being vulnerable, which is great. So I would say basically all the vulnerabilities in the build packs are done. The vulnerability of UA is done. Pivotal cut a Cred Hub release. I forgot that was actually not in Cloud Foundry Foundation. But yeah, I think everything is patched. What's missing is maybe a release of CF deployment that brings it all together. Though that was a lot of that was going through pipelines, so that might even be resolved by now.
Yeah, okay. Is there a plan to do another UAA with 2.16 in it?
No, someday, yes, totally.
Okay. I didn't know how imminent that was because that completely removes the JNI.
Nice. Yeah, I think we might. I don't know. I mean, I think we're likely to do another UAA release because there's still vulnerable jars in UAA that we don't think are exploitable, but they're scannable. And so like, it would just be like, we're trying to get all of them modernized. And when we're doing that, we could consider 2.16 instead of 2.15. I don't see a problem with that. So expect more UAA patches, but you should be okay with the first one, but you are not okay at all if you don't have the first one. And you can mitigate it with the environment variable, or you can mitigate it by patching. Yeah. But you cannot do nothing.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so does anyone have anything else for today?
Yes, pick me.
Go for it.
Yeah, so there was an interesting development. There was someone in the community working on VIPs support, adding VIP support for the stem cell builder. I saw multiple pull requests coming through, and then I looked into that person, and it turned out that person was working for Canonical. So that was nice. So I reached out, and we had a chat, and it turns out they have like a big customer that really wants VIP support, and they say, just give us a VIP stem cell. So now Canonical is building a VIP stem cell. That's really awesome. So I thought there's, I've reached out to Felix from SAP, but I was wondering, maybe one of you also has contacts. I thought that SAP was also working on VIP support or interested in that. And I know at least some VMware customers might be interested. So I don't know, it sounds like a really interesting opportunity. So so they have a working thing, but they now want to further validate this stem cell. So I've reached out and offered to set up a pipeline, like because we already have like the whole test infrastructure to test stem cells, like with bats and everything, right? So currently, how it's built, it cannot be published publicly because it uses the Ubuntu Advantage token during the build, and then you have all the packages. So if you have the build artifact, you basically don't have to pay anymore for the VIP support, and it's a paid thing from Canonical. But yeah, I think still it's valuable to closely collaborate with Canonical and make it happen, basically. But I think there's an interest. We could do like better, maybe a phase 2 where we would like add support for that Advantage token to the agent, the boss agent. So we would inject it during like start or bootstrap on the on a stem cell, right? And if we do that, I mean that. I don't know what that would look like, but if we go that route, there would be an option to publish it on Bosch.io, but it would be packaging closed source software, right? So that's like the, I don't know. I don't know what the stance is on that particular thing, but I think there's an interest. And there's also, I just started out communicating with an engineer that's working on this, and then he talked to his manager, and then they started CCing everybody. So I don't know. They are talking about partnerships and those types of things. So I was wondering, like, I think if there's going to be a partnership, it should be between the foundation and Canonical. This should not be a VMware thing. But that's why I don't know what the right place is currently to discuss these types of partnerships. Is that like the TOC, or is there another level? I mean. Chip is gone, right? I think he was historically the person to do these types of things. But yeah, it would be nice to, I don't know, figure out where we would want to go from here, because I think it could be an interesting opportunity, like closer collaboration with Canonical. I think especially with the whole Jammy thing coming up could be really valuable for us. So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. It's kind of one that I guess is sort of, bring it to here, and then we take it to Chris, really. And it's sort of in Chris's world, I guess, to then take that to the board.
Right. Ruben,
yes.
Can you, me, and Chris maybe get on a call either later this week or early next week and hash out the details of that, and we can see how best to progress with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I expect the governing board in general would probably be the appropriate decider for this. But certainly they'd want to be aware of any decisions that would affect the foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a governing board. Yeah, I thought there was a board above the TOC. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that this is probably at that level. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does anyone have anything else for today? I see that David's had to drop for CVEs. So, okay. So otherwise, I think let's just do a quick one. So I've got tagging leads to do on one of the pull requests, so I'll do that one. A TOC review of the GitHub automation in there. We can take off the byline article, and I have already done the adding the metadata into the RFC as actions for next week. But if nobody has anything else, then we should probably gain some time back. Cool. All right.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all. And have a wonderful week.
See you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.